Hello fans! Welcome back to the ABC General Hospital Spoilers channel. Today, we're diving into the heart-wrenching and suspense-filled developments set to unfold on Tuesday, June 10, 2025, in the vibrant world of Port Charles. From emotional farewells to unexpected proposals and bursts of creative energy, this episode promises to keep fans on the edge of their seats. We'll explore the intricate dynamics between characters like Lucky and Lulu, delve into the evolving relationships of Elizabeth and Lucas, and uncover the intriguing propositions and inspirations involving Cody, Carly, and Christina. Plus, we'll take a deep dive into Drew's descent into darker territory and what this could mean for the future of key relationships in the town. Buckle up as we unpack all the juicy details, add fresh perspectives, and speculate on the potential twists awaiting our beloved characters in this iconic soap opera. Heartfelt goodbyes, Lucky, and Lulu's emotional farewell. In a moment that is sure to tug at the heartstrings of longtime viewers, Lucky Spencer prepares to bid a poignant farewell to his sister, Lulu, in this upcoming episode. After the devastating rejection of his marriage proposal by Elizabeth, Lucky finds himself at a crossroads, grappling with a profound sense of displacement in Port Charles. His free-spirited, nomadic nature has always clashed with Elizabeth's deep-rooted desire for stability and connection to her family and role as head nurse at General Hospital. Their recent conversation, heavy with unspoken regrets, so Lucky confessed that staying in town would be too painful, solidifying his decision to leave. As he approaches Lulu on Monday, the weight of his departure hangs in the air. Will this be the final goodbye, or does he have more farewells to make throughout the week? Fans are buzzing with speculation, especially since Jonathan Jackson's last appearance on the show is confirmed to be sometime next week. This emotional exchange is likely to explore their sibling bond, reflecting on shared childhood memories and unspoken promises of reunion. Perhaps Lulu will plead with Lucky to reconsider, or might she offer a piece of advice that plants a seed of doubt about his departure? The scene is poised to showcase the depth of their relationship, possibly even hinting at unresolved family issues tied to their parents' tumultuous history. Elizabeth's search for solace, the bond with Lucas strengthens. While Lucky's exit looms large, Elizabeth isn't facing this heartbreak alone. Turning to an unexpected source of comfort, she reaches out to Lucas Jones, whose friendship has become a surprising cornerstone in her life. Their connection, often understated amidst the chaos of Port Charles, has blossomed into one of the show's most genuine and touching dynamics. In the wake of Lucky's rejection and impending departure, Elizabeth is likely to pour her heart out to Lucas, revealing not just her pain but also her fears of being left behind once again. Lucas, with his own history of family drama and personal loss, might offer a unique perspective, reminding Elizabeth of her resilience and the family she's built with her children. This episode could introduce a new layer to their friendship, perhaps a shared activity, like a quiet coffee at Kelly's, where they reminisce about simpler times. Or even a moment where Lucas encourages Elizabeth to focus on her career achievements as a distraction from personal turmoil. Their scenes are expected to be a highlight, providing a softer, more introspective contrast to the high-stakes drama elsewhere in the episode. Could this friendship hint at something deeper in the future, or will it remain a platonic refuge for both characters amidst their stormy lives? Cody's unexpected proposal to Carly, a family connection. Meanwhile, the plot thickens as Cody Bell approaches Carly Spencer with a proposal that is sure to raise eyebrows across Port Charles. Given the recent arrival of Sasha's baby, Daisy, who is both Cody's cousin and Carly's granddaughter, it's highly likely that this proposition revolves around family matters. Cody, known for his protective streak and knack for finding himself in the middle of complex situations, might be suggesting a way to ensure Daisy's future, perhaps a trust fund contribution or a plan to co-organize a family event to celebrate the newest Spencer. Alternatively, Cody could be proposing a business venture tied to the child's well-being, leveraging Carly's resources and influence. Carly, ever the fierce matriarch, will undoubtedly approach this conversation with a mix of skepticism and curiosity, especially given her protective instincts over her extended family. This interaction could also serve as a backdrop to explore Cody's evolving role within the Spencer family tree, shedding light on his own past and his longing for connection after years of feeling like an outsider. Will Carly embrace Cody's idea, or will this proposal spark a new conflict between them, especially if it involves overstepping into her personal territory? Christina's stroke of inspiration, a creative awakening. On another front, Christina Corinthos Davis finds herself struck by a sudden burst of inspiration, a development that promises to add a refreshing layer to her storyline. Known for her passionate and sometimes impulsive nature, Christina might be inspired to launch a new project, perhaps a community initiative tied to her family's legacy or a personal endeavor like writing a memoir about her experiences in Port Charles. This moment of clarity could be sparked by a recent conversation or an emotional encounter, possibly tied to her observations of the struggles around her, such as Lucky's departure or her own family's ongoing dramas. The episode might show Christina sketching out plans in a notebook at the Metro Court, her face alight with determination, or confiding in a close friend about this newfound purpose. This subplot offers a chance to see Christina in a more introspective light, moving beyond the chaos of her romantic and familial entanglements to focus on self-growth. How will this inspiration shape her interactions with others, and could it lead to alliances or conflicts as she seeks support for her vision? Fans will be eager to see if this marks the beginning of a transformative arc for Christina, one that positions her as a creative force in her own right. Drew's descent, a new low in Port Charles politics. Lastly, the ever-controversial Drew Kane seems to be plumbing new depths of villainy in this episode, leaving viewers both intrigued and apprehensive. Teasers hint that Drew stoops to a previously unseen low, a move that could redefine his standing in Port Charles. Already facing backlash for his actions and harboring ambitions to escape to Washington, D.C., Drew appears determined to secure a win in the custody battle involving Willow, especially after the explosive reveal of Michael and Sasha's connection. This new low might involve underhanded tactics, perhaps blackmailing a key figure or manipulating evidence to sway the custody case in Willow's favor. Alternatively, it could be a personal betrayal, targeting someone close to him to achieve his political or personal goals. The episode may depict Drew in a shadowy setting, making a secretive phone call or meeting with an unsavory ally, his expressions revealing a mix of desperation and ruthlessness. This development raises questions about how far Drew is willing to go to escape the haters he's accumulated in town, and whether this path will ultimately lead to his redemption or complete downfall. Will his actions alienate even his staunchest supporters, or will they cement his reputation as a formidable, if morally ambiguous, player in Port Charles? Speculations and what's next for General Hospital. As we wrap up our spoilers for Tuesday's episode, it's clear that General Hospital is pulling out all the stops to deliver drama, emotion, and unexpected turns. Lucky's goodbye to Lulu might mark the end of an era for some fans, while Elizabeth and Lucas's deepening bond offers a beacon of hope amidst personal turmoil. Cody's proposal to Carly introduces a potential new dynamic in the Spencer family, while Christina's inspiration could herald a significant shift in her character's journey. And, of course, Drew's latest scheme keeps us guessing about the true cost of ambition in Port Charles. As we look ahead to the rest of the week, especially with Jonathan Jackson's final appearance looming, one can't help but wonder if Lucky's departure will trigger a domino effect of change for other characters. Will Elizabeth find a new purpose, or will she be drawn back into past patterns of longing? Can Cody and Carly find common ground, and will Christina's vision come to fruition? Most importantly, how low will Drew sink before facing the consequences of his actions? Next, we're delving into the turbulent waters of Port Charles as Lulu Spencer grapples with guilt, anger, and the fallout from her actions involving Joe Palmieri, Dante Falconeri, and Brooklyn Quartermain. In this episode, airing on Tuesday, June 10, 2025, the drama intensifies as Lulu seeks a path to redemption amidst a storm of broken relationships and shattered trust. We'll explore her deep regret over the rift she's caused between Dante and his newly discovered son, Joe, as well as her strained dynamic with Brooklyn. With fresh details, inventive twists, and deeper insights into each character's motivations, this article uncovers the layers of emotion and conflict driving the story. Join us as we navigate Lulu's potential journey toward mending fences, her interactions with her own son Rocco, and the possibility of healing familial bonds in a town where grudges often run deep. Lulu's burden of guilt, a fractured family in Port Charles. At the heart of this episode lies Lulu Spencer, a woman wrestling with the heavy weight of remorse after her role in exposing a life-altering secret. The revelation of Joe Palmieri as Dante's son has sent shockwaves through Port Charles, and Lulu finds herself at the center of the ensuing chaos. Many in town have turned against her, viewing her actions as reckless and destructive, particularly after Gio's anger toward Dante and Brooklyn became evident. Lulu's initial intent may have been to shed light on hidden truths, but the consequences have painted her as a villain in the eyes of those she once held dear. As she stands amidst the wreckage of relationships she inadvertently tore apart, Lulu is desperate to find a way to make amends. This episode might show her reflecting alone at the docks, gazing at the water as memories of happier times with Dante flood her mind, or confiding in a trusted friend about the gnawing guilt that keeps her up at night. Her journey toward redemption promises to be a rocky one, filled with self-doubt and the looming question, can she undo the damage she's caused? Dante's fury, a father-son bond in jeopardy. The rift between Dante Falconeri and Lulu has grown into a chasm, with Dante unleashing his fury on her for meddling in affairs that have upended his chance at connecting with Joe. In a heated confrontation, Dante accused Lulu of deliberately sabotaging Brooklyn out of spite and jealousy, a charge that struck a raw nerve. He tore into her for not confiding in him directly, instead allowing Joe to overhear a damning conversation with Lois Trullo about long-buried lies. Dante's pain is palpable as he laments the lost opportunity to build a relationship with his son, believing Lulu's actions have poisoned any hope of trust. This episode could depict Dante in a quieter, more introspective moment, perhaps visiting Gio's favorite hangout spot in town, longing to bridge the gap but unsure how to start. His words to Lulu to stay out of his life and Joe Secco with finality, yet fans know Lulu's stubborn streak often overrides such warnings. Will Dante's anger soften as he processes the shock of fatherhood, or will his resentment toward Lulu harden into a permanent divide? Brooklyn's betrayal, Lulu's motives under scrutiny. The tension between Lulu and Brooklyn Quartermain adds another layer of complexity to this tangled web. Dante may harbor frustration toward Brooklyn for keeping Gio's parentage a secret, but his anger pales in comparison to the disdain he holds for Lulu. He accused her of using the revelation as a weapon to tarnish Brooklyn's reputation, perhaps even as a ploy to rekindle their own past romance, a notion Lulu fiercely denied. Brooklyn, having explained her reasons for silence, has somewhat mitigated Dante's wrath, leaving Lulu as the primary target of blame. This episode might introduce a charged encounter between the two women at the Quartermain mansion, where Brooklyn confronts Lulu with a mix of hurt and icy resolve, questioning if her actions stem from unresolved bitterness over their shared history with Dante. Could there be a flicker of understanding beneath their animosity, or will this clash deepen the wounds, making reconciliation an even more distant dream for Lulu? Rocco's role, a brotherly connection as a lifeline. Amidst the turmoil, Lulu's son, Rocco Falconeri, emerges as a potential key to mending broken ties. Stunned by the revelation of Joe as his half-brother, Rocco represents an innocent bridge between the feuding adults. Lulu, aware of Rocco's natural desire to bond with his sibling, might see this as an opportunity to soften Gio's stance toward Dante. This episode could showcase a tender scene at home, where Rocco excitedly asks Lulu questions about Joe, his eyes bright with the prospect of gaining a brother. Unlike the others, Joe has no reason to resent Rocco, and rejecting him would seem unfair and out of character. Lulu could orchestrate a casual meet-up, perhaps inviting Joe over for a game night or a pizza party under the guise of letting the boys get acquainted. This setting might allow Lulu to subtly plead Dante's case, emphasizing his innocence in the deception and his longing to be a father figure. Will Gio's interactions with Rocco pave the way for a thaw in his icy demeanor, or will he remain guarded, wary of any hidden agendas from Lulu? Lulu's defiant nature, a mission to make amends. Lulu Spencer has never been one to follow orders, especially not when her heart pulls her in another direction. Despite Dante's explicit demand to steer clear of Joe, her determination to right her wrongs may drive her to meddle further. Her regret over Gio's rejection of both Dante and Brooklyn weighs heavily, but her focus seems squarely on repairing her bond with her ex-husband. This episode might reveal Lulu crafting a plan at her desk, scribbling notes on how to approach Joe without reigniting conflict, or seeking advice from an old friend like Maxie Jones on navigating such delicate family dynamics. Her mission, at its core, is to facilitate a father-son connection between Dante and Joe, believing that such a reconciliation could redeem her in Dante's eyes. There's also the faint possibility of brokering peace with Brooklyn, though her long-standing jealousy and rivalry with BLQ might complicate this goal. Can Lulu channel her relentless spirit into genuine healing, or will her impulsive tendencies once again lead to disaster? Gio's perspective, a young man caught in the crossfire. Joe Palmieri, the young man at the center of this storm, grapples with emotions of betrayal and confusion as he processes the truth about his parentage. His anger toward Dante and Brooklyn stems from a sense of abandonment, though he intellectually understands that Dante was unaware of his existence. Lulu's accidental role in revealing the secret has left Joe wary of her intentions, especially after overhearing her confrontation with Lois. This episode might offer a glimpse into Gio's world, perhaps a scene at a local park where he's lost in thought, earbuds in, trying to drown out the chaos with music, or confiding in a friend about the whirlwind of discovering a father and brother he never knew. While he could lash out unfairly, blaming Dante for choosing Rocco over him, it's more likely that Gio's inherent fairness will prevent such harshness. If Lulu manages to arrange time with Rocco, will Joe allow himself to open up, even slightly, to the idea of family, or will the shock to his system keep his walls firmly in place? The path forward, redemption or ruin for Lulu. As we look ahead to the unfolding drama on General Hospital, Lulu's quest for redemption hangs in a delicate balance. Her guilt over fracturing Dante's chance at a relationship with Joe, combined with the broader disdain she faces in Port Charles, sets the stage for a challenging journey. This episode might conclude with a poignant moment, Lulu watching from a distance as Joe and Rocco share a laugh, a flicker of hope in her eyes, or retreating to her room with a weary sigh. Unsure if her efforts will ever bear fruit, the potential for a brotherly bond between Rocco and Joe offers a glimmer of possibility, but Lulu must tread carefully to avoid further alienating those she seeks to help. Will her persistence pay off, mending the ties between Dante and Joe, and perhaps even softening Brooklyn's stance? Or will her history of jealousy and impulsive decisions cement her as an outcast in the eyes of her loved ones? Next, we're diving into the explosive drama rocking Port Charles as Dante Falcone's rage toward Lulu Spencer takes center stage following a fiery backstage confrontation at the recent Nurses' Ball. This episode, set to air on Tuesday, June 10, 2025, unravels the messy aftermath of Lulu's clash with Lois Trullo over the shocking truth about Giovanni Joe Palmieri being Dante and Brooklyn Quartermain's son. With new twists, added depth to character motivations, and inventive details woven into the narrative, we'll explore the layers of betrayal, misunderstanding, and emotional turmoil driving this storyline. From Dante's justified fury to fun debates over Lulu's intentions and the potential for irreparable rifts, this article paints a vivid picture of a town divided by secrets and heartbreak. Join us as we unpack the chaos and speculate on what lies ahead for these beloved characters. A storm brews backstage, Lulu's reckless revelation. The Nurses' Ball, typically a night of glamour and charity in Port Charles, became the backdrop for a devastating confrontation that has left relationships in tatters. Lulu Spencer, driven by a mix of suspicion and unresolved emotions, cornered Lois Trullo in a secluded backstage corridor. Her voice sharp with accusations about concealing Joe Palmieri's true parentage as Dante and Brooklyn's son. Their heated exchange, laden with years of buried secrets, echoed through the empty space, little knowing that young Joe stood just around the corner, his world shattering as he overheard every word. This episode might depict the moment in chilling detail, Lulu's face contorted with frustration as she demands answers, Lois's defensive posture, and Gio's silent gasp as the truth sinks in. Lulu's decision to pursue this investigation, despite explicit pleas from Dante and Brooklyn to let the past lie, has cast her as reckless in the eyes of many. Her choice to withhold her growing suspicions for weeks only adds fuel to the fire, leaving fans and characters alike questioning whether her actions stem from concern or something more self-serving. Dante's burning anger, a father's pain unleashed. Dante Falconeri is a man on the edge, his heart raw from the recent loss of Sam McCall and now torn apart by the public exposure of his son, Joe, in the most painful way possible. His fury toward Lulu is palpable, a storm of betrayal and hurt that erupted when he learned of her role in the backstage debacle. Dante feels stabbed in the back by Lulu's refusal to respect his and Brooklyn's wishes to bury their teenage history, and her silence about Gio's identity for weeks feels like a deliberate wound, especially at a time when he's grappling with grief. This episode could show Dante in a quieter but equally intense moment, perhaps pacing outside the hospital, fists clenched, as he replays Lulu's actions in his mind, or confiding in a close friend like Cody Bell about the anguish of not being there for Gio from the start. Is Dante's anger a rightful response to Lulu's carelessness, or should he pause to consider if her intent was to shield him from unconfirmed pain? The depth of his rage suggests a wound that may not easily heal, especially as he fears the impact on Gio. Fan frenzy, debating Lulu's true intentions. The court of public opinion in Port Charles is as divided as ever, with social media platforms buzzing with passionate takes on Lulu's actions. On one side, a vocal group of fans stands firmly with Dante, decrying Lulu's meddling as selfish and destructive. A notable post on X reads, "Lulu crossed a line digging into Dante's past after he begged her to stop. Gio didn't deserve to find out like this." Others, however, rally to Lulu's defense, arguing that her pursuit of the truth was born from a desire to protect Dante, even if clumsily executed. A supporter tweeted, "Lulu was in an impossible spot, couldn't tell Dante without solid proof and risk breaking his heart." This episode might highlight a scene at Kelly's diner, where townsfolk overhear heated debates among patrons about whether Lulu's argument with Lois was a passionate error or a reckless betrayal, especially given Gio's accidental discovery. The split in fan reactions mirrors the fractured loyalties within Port Charles, leaving the question hanging: was Lulu a betrayer or a misguided ally? Gio's shattered world, a young man caught in the chaos. At the center of this maelstrom is Gio Palmieri, a young man blindsided by the revelation of his parentage in the most public and painful of ways. Overhearing Lulu and Louis's backstage spat at the nurses' ball, Gio learned not only that he was adopted but that Dante and Brooklyn are his biological parents, a truth he was never prepared to face. The shock and hurt radiating from him are a silent accusation against all involved, particularly Lulu, whose careless words triggered this upheaval. This episode could delve into Gio's inner turmoil with a poignant scene, perhaps him sitting on the pier at dusk, staring at the water as he wrestles with feelings of abandonment, or sketching in a notebook as a way to process the chaos, his usual bright demeanor dimmed by confusion. How will Gio cope with this newfound identity? And will he direct his anger solely at Lulu, or will Dante and Brooklyn bear the brunt of his resentment for the life he never knew? His pain adds a heartbreaking dimension to the fallout, intensifying the stakes for everyone involved. A fragile rekindling, Dante and Lulu's future in doubt. The spark of lingering feelings recently ignited between Dante and Lulu now flickers under the weight of this betrayal, threatening to extinguish any chance of reconciliation. Dante's anger, compounded by Gio's distress and Brooklyn's own shock at the secret's exposure, could push him closer to Brooklyn as they unite over their shared connection to their son. This episode might feature a tense moment at the Quartermain estate, where Dante and Brooklyn discuss Gio's future, their shared glances hinting at a renewed bond that leaves Lulu on the outside looking in. Meanwhile, Harrison Chase, Brooklyn's husband, may harbor his own resentment toward Lulu for stirring such chaos in their lives, further isolating her. If Lulu attempts to clarify her motives, explaining that she feared unconfirmed news would devastate Dante, will he find it in his heart to forgive? Or has her disregard for his boundaries crossed an unforgivable line? The potential for a permanent rift looms large, casting a shadow over their once close relationship. Lulu's path to redemption, a long road ahead. As Lulu surveys the wreckage of her actions, the question of redemption becomes paramount. Her confrontation with Lois, though perhaps driven by a desire for truth, has painted her as the catalyst for pain in the eyes of Dante, Gio, and even parts of the Port Charles community. This episode might show Lulu alone in her apartment, poring over old photos of her and Dante, tears in her eyes as she realizes the depth of the damage done, or reaching out to an old friend like Naxie Jones for advice on how to approach an apology. Her journey to make amends will be fraught with challenges. Can she convince Dante that her heart was in the right place, even if her methods were flawed? Will Gio ever see her as anything other than the woman who shattered his sense of self? And how will Brooklyn and Chase react if Lulu seeks to explain herself? The road ahead is uncertain, but Lulu's determination or stubbornness might just be the key to slowly rebuilding trust, one painstaking step at a time. What's next for Port Charles, healing or deeper wounds? As we anticipate the next chapters of this gripping storyline on General Hospital, the fallout from Lulu's actions at the nurses' ball promises to reverberate through Port Charles for weeks to come. Dante's fury, Hugh's pain, and the divided opinions of fans and residents alike set the stage for a saga of heartbreak and potential reconciliation. This episode could close with a haunting image of Lulu standing outside Dante's door, hesitating to knock, a flicker of hope and fear in her eyes, or Joe walking away from a family gathering, unsure if he belongs. Will Dante find a way to channel his anger into understanding, or will his bond with Brooklyn over Joe push Lulu further away? Can Lulu prove her intentions were not malicious, or has she dug a hole too deep to climb out of?